Hey, good afternoon. Welcome to Manor Road Studio. I'm Dale. Chris is not with us again today, so I'll see if I can do this kind of on my own. I've had a lot on my mind lately, and something I want to discuss. There's a thing Chris and I talk about all the time called PTCS, or Post-Traumatic Church Syndrome. And basically, the gist of it is there are people in church right now that don't agree with where they are, don't want to be there. They feel like the indoctrination may be wrong or whatever the case may be. But for various reasons, they stay more out of familial or social networks than anything else. And there's also people that feel like they've been hurt by church that just left altogether. Either way, we feel like that PTCS, again, post-traumatic church syndrome, is something that's worth talking about. And I can look at my own life over the years, and I'll admit that from probably 0 to 10, most of the church I had would have been at my paternal grandparents. They would take us to a local Church of Christ, and that wasn't bad. That was my only exposure to church. I kind of thought it humorous at the time that, a preacher would stand up and scream and yell, take his jacket off, swing the Bible up. But nevertheless, if that reached people and it moved his heart, then so be it. From probably 11 to, I'm going to say, early 20s, didn't really go to church, didn't have any formal religion at all. Had spirituality because I was always deeply passionate about humanity. I've always felt that every single person we come in contact had love within them, and I never really needed religion to solidify that feeling for me. Now, as I got into my 30s, I joined the Catholic Church, something that I fell in love with pretty quick. And it's kind of interesting how even that came about. My wife and I had gone to the Catholic school to get a price on enrolling our daughter when she became 6 years old. And they said, well, it's $350 for non-Catholics and $250 for Catholics. And I said, hey, we're becoming Catholic. So we went through the 9-month process called RCIA and joined the Catholic Church. And I really found a lot of things I could relate to within the church. So much so that for the next 19 years of my life, I taught the class of people that was coming into the church. So I met a lot of wonderful people from various backgrounds and various religions. And some were coming because they were getting married and they felt they needed to convert to what their other partner was going to be. Some had PTCS from another church and were just experimenting, looking for a change of pace. Some hadn't had no catechesis at all, meaning, religious training or whatever. But then after 19 years, I left the Catholic Church and left church altogether and started studying and writing quite a bit, honestly. And I was writing about the country club effect is what I'll call it. Like the people that are inside the country club or inside the church kind of lose sight or lose focus on those outside the church. Not stand true for everybody, but I just feel like collectively that the majority probably felt that way. So when I would embrace people and talk to them about folks that have left the church, they would really put the blame on the person that left and not internally in the church itself. So I started seeing the exclusivity of the country club. And then I realized what it looked like from the outside looking in. And for the next few years, I really enjoyed the view of being an outsider because there were so many more people searching for spirituality. They were no longer indoctrinated by religion. They were no longer boxed in. They didn't have God put in some can with a lid on it. They were really experiencing or looking to experience who they are. So man's search for meaning was on. I'll admit I met a lot of people that were facing depression, that were facing all kinds of storms in life, but they didn't blame it on their lack of religion or spirituality. It was various external forces that brought them to that point. And of course, for me, I was always more interested in how they developed their spiritual presence, or did they? So a lot of people ask me all the time, Dale, do you feel like you're a spiritual person? I feel like I'm a deeply spiritual person. I love reading the Bible. I love reading all kinds of books that will enhance my spirituality. I'm not so stuck on one that I lose sight of another. There's people believe in several deities. It's not like that on this whole globe that everybody is looking at the one God or whatever your God may be. There's several deities being worshipped right this minute as we speak worldwide. So I'm not going to sit here and say that the one that I believe in or the one you believe in is the right one, and I'll tell you why. Because there are facets of faith within a so-called religion that splinter off and form other faiths. Hence the reason there's a church on every corner. And to some extent, each one of those churches feel like that they've got the right message. I'm not here to argue that point. I'm not here to say that they don't. I'm just here to say that I enjoy learning from all of them. But again, where I'm finding pleasure in life right now would be embracing those people that have fallen out, if you will, or again, were never catechized at all. There's so many people out there searching. And I've got a message for those that are listening to this that may be on that search. There's nothing wrong with church. Matter of fact, I suggest it. If you're looking for a wonderful, wonderful framework of social being or whatever you want to call it, people that truly love each other, then, getting into a good Bible-based church, it certainly doesn't hurt. But then as you get and you start getting further in to the church and you see the corporate structure of it, you start realizing that, a lot of this money we're giving, and they call it tithe, giving 10% to God, but really, give it to us and we'll determine how we're going to spend your 10% for you. And they build bigger and bigger and bigger Taj Mahals and so forth. And a lot of churches, and again, I won't say all, but they're not looking for people that are unchurched. Basically, they're recycling people that are in church. They're just trying to get them to their church. And in that respect, we miss the message. We miss the message completely, and we leave a lot of people on the sidewalks and in the gutter when that becomes our focus. And I don't believe that people in the country club necessarily realize that that's what they're doing. I think people's heart is relatively good, but sometimes we lose sight of the goal. I'm reminded about a scripture where it says Jesus left the 99 for the sake of the one. I don't think many people or churches today would leave 99 good tax-paying, tithing people to go after the one. And what if that one just happened to be poor and had nothing to give? So I've always said, and I love this term, I would rather be Christ-like than Christian. And I remember reading a quote by Mahatma Gandhi one time, he himself was an avid Bible reader. And somebody asked him one day, he said, Gandhi, why don't you become a Christian? And he simply said, show me one and I will. Wow. That says so much, doesn't it? So what I want to do is I'm going to, kind of throw an olive branch out there and let you know that you are God's greatest miracle. There's never a day that God looks at you in the mirror and wishes you were someone else. You're the greatest miracle that ever existed. I say this day in and day out. You're indeed endowed with the seeds of greatness. You're built for accomplishment. There's so much more in you. But what you got to do is dig deep and find the courage to be authentic. If there's something that you feel like is a spiritual void in your life, seek it out. Search for it. Have the courage to ask questions. And again, I certainly want to put a disclaimer here. By no means am I saying don't go to church. There's so many wonderful, wonderful people in church today. I myself go to church. I think it can give us some education that we may not otherwise have. But for some people, and sometimes that's me included, I need to step away from the box that we put God in and expand and look at God as the universal God-verse, if you will. So anyway, if you happen to have PTCS, post-traumatic church syndrome, whether you're in a church or out of a church, and you feel like that you don't have what it takes to search your spirituality, please, please, please send me a message. Look for me on Facebook, Dale Childress. Send me a message there, dalechildress@icloud.com. I'd love to hear from you. And maybe on one of these podcasts we do, invite you into Manor Road Studio and let you sit with us and ask me and Chris questions. We can ask you questions and learn that no matter who you are, what you believe, we can all live together in harmony and peace. God made us different so that we could become united. If we were all alike, we certainly wouldn't have this beautiful universe to appreciate. So, look about yourself today, dig deep, look within yourself and know that you are a spiritual being. And there is a higher power out there that is extending love to you. Again, I hope you contact me. We'd love to have your question. I'd love to address it right here on this podcast. Other than that, I'm heading to Texas tomorrow, so look for the next podcast coming from Austin, Texas.